J-Mott here for Stretford Paddock. This is Transfers Live. Joining me, as always, is me Bezzy, Joe Smith. How we doing, brother?
I'm doing all right.
Disgusting. Yeah. Hey, let's put the camera on me.
If I hadn't have had both jabs, we'd be worried.
Yeah, that's true. Once these recovered, what have we got for tonight? We've got a few stories, haven't we?
We've got all sorts going on.
As you can see from the thumbnail, we've got Jadon Sanchez, or Jadon Sancho, as some people call him. Looks like there could be a bit of movement as the transfer window approaches on his much lauded move to Manchester United, essentially. Fabrizio Romano, who is obviously Mr. Reliable, Mr. Here we go, Mr. Tier 1.
But now we've got to start worrying about other clubs after him as well, apparently. So we'll get into that.
We knew this, right? In the summer when we were saying if we don't get him now, other clubs are going to come in for him next summer, and that's what looks like it could be happening. But anyway, we've got a little story about him. We've got a story about another lad we've been linked with, Jadon Romano.
Yeah, that's quite a big one, actually. Sky Sports coming out and basically linking us with a centre-back from Atalanta that I hadn't heard us linked with before, and it's them going pretty strong on it as well, so that's definitely one to look out for.
Atalanta? Who buys players from Atalanta? Sad little life. We've also got some news about Jurgen Klopp actually agreeing with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's decision last night to play the Resis. Also, Casey Stoney has left.
Yes.
The women's manager, which is a bit tasty, this story, because it looks like she's not happy with the setup at Manchester United. She's not happy with... there's rumours that her and John Murtough have fallen out a little bit, and she doesn't feel like the facilities are right and things like that, which sort of ties into the whole Glazers out process and movement that we've been saying, well, for the last 16 years, but even more so since the European Super League debacle. We've got the retirement of a former Manchester United winger. Do you remember when we used to have wingers?
You mean fullbacks? That's what we used to do with our wingers, don't we? You'd have a winger, and then they'd get old. Instead of buying a new winger, you just say you've got a winger, but you play him at fullback. Ashley Young. You can turn to Valencia, I'm thinking of.
That's it. That's the one. Yes, sorry, Valencia. A little story on him. Also, we've been linked with, you mentioned fullbacks, we've been linked with a couple of right-backs as well. So we'll be getting into all that. So we'll start off. Do not forget as well to give us a like, hit that share button, get involved in the comments. Let us know what you think about the stories. Let us know what you think about the protest that's planned on Thursday night as well. 6 p.m, be at Old Trafford. We'll be down there. And we want to see you lot down there as well. Because we're sending the message, if you can get down there, if you can't, just show your support on socials like you always do, because we're going to give a message to the Glazers that this is our club, not theirs, it's ours. We'll start off with Jadon Sancho then.
Yeah. We'll also keep you updated, by the way, on the Chelsea-Arsenal score. That game is going on now. 1-0 to Arsenal currently after one of the most pathetic goals I've ever seen scored. Did you see it?
I saw it was like a bit of a mix-up, wasn't it?
Jorginho passed it back to a goalkeeper that didn't exist. Kepa paws it off the line, and then Aubameyang just passed it to Smith Rowe and put it back in the net. Simple, really. Bullshit.
Yeah, that's basically how it went down. So, what's the latest with Jadon Sancho? As you can see there, Jadon Sancho wants a move. This is coming, as we said earlier, from Fabrizio Romano. Now, Jadon Sancho's always sort of been hankering for a move, and there's been rumours that he's been unhappy at Dortmund, not unhappy at Dortmund, but happy to move.
Yes,
if that makes sense. So he's all right there, but he wants to move. Now it looked like he was going to come to Manchester United in the summer. That didn't happen. It now looks like he could be coming to England, Manchester United, or maybe even Liverpool. He wants to come back to England. The Scousers apparently sniffing around him as well.
I think Romano said, didn't he, that Liverpool would have to sell a forward in order to afford or to get Jadon Sancho.
Right, so it's not all plain sailing for anyone.
No.
I mean, there's a bit of debate going on here with Manchester United and whether United are going to go all out for Jadon Sancho, because at one point it looked like we were. Then people were saying there was rumours and reports coming out that maybe we were looking at Mason Greenwood as being the right option on the right-hand side, Edinson Cavani signing a new deal, that we didn't need to go all out for Jadon Sancho. Where do you stand on it, Joe? Do you think we are going to get Jadon Sancho in the summer?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Romano, obviously, he keeps us updated on these things because he knows that people want to hear about it. We want to hear about it. We want to talk about it because we're excited and invested in our club. I think United would still be interested in him. This rumour that, Greenwood's development has meant United are less interested. Well, the assumption last season was that Mason Greenwood was going to be a top-class attacker, whether that be on the wing or as a striker. That assumption has maintained and sustained the last season. So what's changed? It wasn't like we didn't know last year that Mason Greenwood was any good. We go, we don't need Sancho anymore. We've got this Greenwood. Well, he scored more goals last year than he did this year. So I don't think the expectations of Mason Greenwood are any higher now than they were. I think he's continuing on the trajectory we thought, which is establish yourself in the team, play more games. But that doesn't change our need for Jadon Sancho. So this thing of, well, United have decided that they're going to focus on the development of Mason Greenwood, I don't buy that, because we knew he was there last year. He's still there now. We still need options. That doesn't change just because Mason Greenwood's continued his development. In terms of Sancho specifically, I think it was quite, not necessarily telling, but certainly interesting the way Gary Neville spoke about him the other day on Monday Night Football. The way he was going, if United get Sancho, or with Sancho in this team, and his language and the way he spoke about it, obviously that could just be he's heard what we've heard, he's read what we've read, he's just basically playing up to the rumours for the sake of a good conversation. Or it could be that maybe behind the scenes, and he would be more privy to these sorts of conversations and these sorts of rumours going on with former pros and pundits and managers and this sort of thing, that maybe this is one of those things where United are still really interested. He's still really interested in United. We are going to go after him this season. I don't think Gary Neville would have spoken about Sancho the way he did if he thought it wasn't going to happen. Whether he thinks or he knows that it will is another matter altogether. But I definitely think there's legs in this, and I think the fact that Romano keeps us updated, keeps us interested, we're going to have to keep, watching this one as the summer goes along. But I think we still want him, and I think he still wants to join United.
Do you put any weight in the idea that maybe the Glazers need to keep us happy with a signing? A marquee signing?
Of course they do.
A shiny toy, because if they don't give us a shiny toy, after all the protests and everything that's going on, I don't think a shiny toy is going to be enough anyway.
No.
But if they don't at least give us something like that, then there's going to be hell to pay, and the protests are going to take to a new level, because the least we can expect is some signings this summer, and a bit more than just free transfers and future stars, like future children, little stars.
Stiltskin.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe because of what's gone on, that we can expect to see at least one marquee signing, and Jadon Sancho would fit that bill, because he is the one we've been linked with the most. He would be a sort of an exciting signing that got everyone going. I mean, it's a position that we need fulfilling in as well. We need an option there. I know Mason Greenwood can play there, but he isn't a right winger. He's a striker, really, playing on the right-hand side, because he can cut in on his left foot. Does that make sense to you, or do you think that these owners are just shit and they won't do anything?
Well, I think there's two different points there, isn't there? And you kind of addressed them both. But one is, do I think that United's owners will try to, make the fans happy, or take away some of the aggression towards the owners by buying United a big name or making a big marquee transfer? Yes, I do think they'll try to do that. If their funds are available, I think they will try to do a Pogba, a Di Maria, a Maguire type, 60, 70, 80 Lukaku million style transfer to go, hey, look over here, look over here. The other point is, will it work? And I think for the large majority of fans, it won't work. But again, as I've kept saying, what they're trying to do isn't make all United fans like them, because they know that will never happen. What they're trying to do is, if we can take off the least convinced 30%, the fans that are the least convinced about these protests, the fans that agree the least with postponing the Liverpool match, with storming onto the pitch. If you can just edge away at that top 30%, the sort of basically the undecided voters when it comes to more action, by getting a transfer in, by saying that they're going to talk more, that will do them. Because that will just take the edge, take the groundswell of movement away from the protest, just enough for them to have a bit of breathing room. I think that's all they'll try and do. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to get us Sancho or a couple of players like that for the sake of us all going, oh, that's all right, cheers. But I don't think it'll work. But obviously, it's better that they buy transfers to help the team than not doing that. But obviously, that's not what United fans want in terms of the Glazers. That should be the minimum requirement. I mean, absolutely the minimum requirement is improving the squad where possible.
I get where you're coming from with the sort of, trying to just influence enough fans to calm it down. What they might find, though, is that a lot of the most militant, if I can call them that, fans, are the ones that are going down to the training ground, that are going down to the ground, that are up for more action, and transfers ain't going to sway that 10%, and that 10% are the ones that are more up for doing things, physical things. But we can all get involved. We know the sort of deals going on with the sponsors. We know the coffee, United official coffee partner, apparently pulling out. Is it Melissa? I didn't even know that was a thing until I read that they were pulling out. But yes, is it Hook Group?
Yeah.
Hook Group, who were potentially sponsoring, or were sponsoring the Training kit, they've pulled out of a £200 million deal. People say, oh, well, how can you expect signings if sponsors are pulling out? There's money there. The money's always been there. The Glazers just keep taking the money out. So let's not kid ourselves.
And also, if we lose a few transfers for the sake of meaningful change,
I mean, I'd take that. I'd take that. This is part of part of the process is a bit of sacrifice, and if it has to be sacrificing new signings, then so be it. I'd rather see no new signings and these owners fuck off than the other way around. Calvin De Vries, welcome to the Academy, mate. Thanks for your support. Get involved in the comments. Give us a like. Give us a share as well. Andy Hyde says Sancho on the right, Rashford on the left, and Greenwood in the middle. Problem solved. Moy Bian says, does Sancho want to play in Europa? Oh, I think he's referring to Liverpool. The Scousers there. Yeah. I mean, Chelsea aren't doing themselves any favours tonight, are they? John says, Jay wants Pepsi Max Cherry more than Sancho. Yeah. That's true.
What would you rather have? 80 million quid worth of Sancho, which is one. For 80 million quid, you only get one Sancho, or 80 million quid worth of 500ml Pepsi Max Cherry bottles, which is fucking loads.
If I had the latter, if I had that, I could just quit my job because that's all I spend my money on anyway.
I could live in a public pond.
Yeah,
and
just drinking copious amounts of Pepsi Max Cherry because it used to be drugs and now it's just Pepsi Max Cherry. Adam McCullough's in the chat. Hello,
yes,
Macca.
Adam.
Yes, Adam. Do get involved. Let us know what you think of those stories. Moving on to an interesting story regarding the women's team. We don't often cover the women's team. We do cover them, but it's not often we cover them in Transfer Lives, we're being honest.
No.
It's very rare. We do. But Casey Stoney, the manager, has quit.
Yeah.
Not happy. Basically, there's a few stories doing the rounds. The club have issued a statement and whatnot, but it seems that she's unhappy with the state of the facilities. There's all sorts of stories doing the rounds that like the women's team had to walk 10 minutes to the toilets or something when they were training, just all sorts of madness. So she's on her way out. I know a lot of people that follow women's teams are really disappointed with that. Casey Stoney, successful manager, got promotion, doing really well. Everyone likes her, well respected. Looks like she's on her way. There's rumours as well doing the rounds, and these are sort of reports rather than anything confirmed, that there was a bit of needle between her and John Murtagh. John Murtagh, of course, the new director of football.
Yep.
I was getting them two mixed up. Yep, director of football, not technical director. Well, technical director is Darren Fletcher, director of football is John Murtagh, is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if any of them are called director of football, but yes.
Yeah. Now, some people saying, oh, what are you talking about? Someone's in the comments has said, has said, we're talking about women's football. Listen, this is Manchester United, and also this goes into a lot of what we've been saying about the men's team as well. The fact that Old Trafford is crumbling, the fact that training facilities aren't good enough, the fact that Glazers aren't investing in the team, the fact they're not investing in the club, the stadium, the facilities, all that stuff ties in, and it seems to be filtering down to the women's team. There was all this fanfare 3 years ago, was it 2 years ago, when he announced we're going to have a women's team again, fantastic, big excitement, and this is what we should be doing as one of the biggest clubs in the world. And now you've got the coach or the manager quitting because the facilities aren't up to scratch. It's just a shambles.
It's
just
embarrassing.
Not good enough.
And regardless of what you think of women's football, and as someone who,
let's not be snobs about it.
I don't watch a lot of women's football, but I will watch it, and I do enjoy it when I do watch it. That doesn't even matter, like you said. If you look at Manchester United as a club and the way or what the mindset behind us as a club is, it isn't what's the best we can do. How do we implement the fact that we are top 2, top 3 richest clubs in the world? We do that by having the best facilities at every single level. We don't have the best facilities at any level. Do you know, and I've said this to you before, it's almost like an echo and a sort of a parallel to America as a country, where they see themselves as the greatest country in the world. Yeah. It's, America is the greatest country in the world. Literally, people say that all the time. They're very patriotic, But then when you look at education rankings, when you look at, maths and science and basically any of the sort of rankings that you would want to be top of in terms of how your people, the money they make, how happy they are, how educated they are, how tolerant they are. America is never at the top of any of those lists. Never. And it's the same with Manchester United. We're the greatest club in the world. By what metric? We don't win the most, we don't invest the most, we don't help people the most. We were good during COVID, I'll give them that, but that was largely PR, not the owners.
Was the tapping, like putting NHS on the sign. good idea.
Yeah.
But it's hardly like earth-shattering,
Yeah.
or having to move mountains to not put some lights on the
I
Old
agree.
Trafford sign.
But what I'm trying to say is I'm not trying to knock everybody.
No,
but
I get it.
We don't have the best youth facilities. We don't have a stadium for our women's teams and our reserves and under-18s teams. Other clubs have these things. People walking 10 minutes to go to the toilet. What the fuck is that? How much is a Portaloo?
I mean, I was saying this the other day, we talk about it. You want to go and watch the under-23s, you want to go and watch the women's team. Where'd you go and watch them? Lee Sports Village.
Yeah.
It's a mooch from Old Trafford. It's not our ground, it's someone else's. You know what I mean? It's a bit out of the way. It's like, I don't know, it's probably about 7 miles, whatever it is, from Old Trafford. It's a nightmare to get to as well. On a Friday night, you go down there. It's just a bit of a mooch. If we're the biggest club in the world, if we've got aspirations of pretending to be the biggest club in the world, why have we not got a designated ground for our academy, for our under-23s, for our women's team? I know the academy play in Carrington, but even Carrington isn't the state-of-the-art sort of training facility it once was.
No.
Even
was it 20 years ago we moved there?
It's not like
After
people go
99,
about
wasn't
Carrington's fantastic. It's decent, obviously. It's a training centre for Manchester United that's 20 years old, but it's not as modern as other grounds. And you go to somewhere like Manchester City, for example, and it pains me to say this, but you go there, they've got like the designated academy stadium. They've just got facilities that are modern, state of the art. They pull out all the stops. I know they've got the rich owners and all that stuff, but we've got the money to do that. If we weren't wasting it on furnishing debt and giving the owners dividends, we should be investing that in our facilities as well as other things. So it just annoys me, and it is embarrassing when you have a manager who's been a successful manager leaving one of your teams because she's unhappy and because you're making players walk to the toilet.
Yeah, exactly. And Louis van Gaal came in, was it 2015 Louis van Gaal arrived, or 2014? And he came in and he was like, why haven't you got proper floodlights at the training ground? Like, what is going on?
Why is a manager asking that question?
Yeah, why am I stood shining a torch on one matter?
You got your phone with you? Put a torch on your phone.
Everyone
now,
put your torch on like a fucking Robbie Williams concert.
I want to watch this. I want to watch this game. Yeah. It'll take me ages.
The fact that it's swipe up.
You see me like the other day in the office.
Settings.
I had my torch on for 5 minutes by accident.
Yeah. That's what you get for.
I am an old man.
Picking your ass in the mirror, though, isn't it?
It'll be interesting to see if Casey Stoney, if she comes out with any statements, any interviews, what she said. I mean, we'll love to chat to her. We're going to try and get her on the channel because we don't know. Sometimes when a manager leaves, a bit like Jose, they have these NDAs. They don't really say anything.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see if she has.
I think it'd be great to get her, you and Dave on together because obviously Dave Pritt watches a lot of the women's games, knows a lot more about that than most people.
Yeah, we do. It was Natalie that used to do the fan cams for us. We'll try and speak to her as well. She's obviously very passionate. You might have probably seen on social media today. She's pretty upset about it. She's a big Casey Stoney fan. And there's a lot of the fans who follow the women's team, the Barmy Army as they call themselves, who were devastated. It's a real blow to them because this is a successful manager, a popular manager who was doing well and who's quit because of basically non-footballing reasons, really.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah,
it's not like symptomatic of the way the club treat its teams and its facilities is just a joke.
And this is one of the stories. You Google Manchester United, this is one of the stories that comes up, and it's not a good look.
No.
If you're trying to put on this air of being a successful football club. Matthew Freeze in the Super Chat says, just like America is almost biggest country on the planet, United is biggest club on planet. That's probably why the pendulum of people, fans, swings further. Interesting.
Lovely.
Yeah, thanks for your support. What else are people saying? Dan says, hope she properly goes onto club and gives it the truth that needs to be exposed. Mercury Doom says, please bring back Nats. Nats, she's been on the channel since Full-Time Devils Day. She's been on the channel since Paddock as well. So we'll get her on. She's been in demand. I think everyone wants to speak to Nats. She does like Granada and like not only Northwest United and all the and Sky and stuff. She's like the go-to person for the United women's team. But we will get her on. Glenn F says she's quit because of the Glazers. I mean, it ultimately does feel a little bit like that. It feels like the Glazers are having their Glazer effect on the women's team, just like they've had it on the men's team. Should we move on to some transfer news?
Absolutely. I love that transfer news.
We've been linked with a couple of right backs for quite a while, haven't we? Me and you've had this discussion before. And as the transfer window approaches, you find that some of these stories that we've had in the past are coming to the forefront again. And it looks like Kieran Trippier and Max Aarons are back on United's radar. We have been linked with these two players separately over the last sort of year or so. In fact, the Max Aarons one goes back to before we signed Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Yeah. There was talk that if we didn't get Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Max Aarons was another option. It seemed like there might have been a bit of kidology there with United just saying, oh, well, Palace don't let us have Aaron Wan-Bissaka for what we want him for. We'll just get Max Aaron. It didn't work because we ended up paying the 50 million quid that Palace wanted in the first place.
Which was worth it.
Yeah, I'm not disputing it was great. But yeah, it was just the United way of negotiating of like, well, if you don't give him us, we'll go and get him then. All right, then do that. No, we'll pay the 50 million. It's all right. Sorry.
We were joking. What are you on about Max Aarons? That was a laugh.
Max Aarons?
50 million, yeah, here it is.
Oh, look.
Sorry.
Do you remember it? It's like the one as well, wasn't it, where it was like, can we put in a stipulation that like, we'll give you 40 and 10 if he wins the Champions League? You're not even in the Champions League. All right.
Okay, how about in my job contract, instead of giving me, 50 grand a year,
Yeah.
or giving you 50, I'll give you 40. And if you get us to be in a FTSE 100 company in 3 weeks,
Yeah.
you can have another 50 grand. Thoughts?
Really?
Yep, promise.
We'll discuss
FTSE
this.
100, imagine.
FTSE
that.
100?
Yeah, top 100 companies.
What have I told you
What?
about FTSE 100?
Yeah, sorry.
Hey, it's the devil's work, whatever it is. Yeah, it was that sort of drama that went on, and we ended up buying Aaron Wan-Bissaka, which is good because he's one of our best players, sort of.
Certainly one of our
he's having a
best
good
right
season. He's having a good season, isn't he?
I think he's having a good second half of the season.
He is. Yeah, I think he's been pretty solid, and I think he gets a lot of stick. But
Yeah.
he's been a bit better going forward as well recently. He played well against Villa going forward, so he's not an issue. But we do need backup. Brandon Williams could be an option.
He could, but it seems like Ollie's gone right off him, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
regardless of what you think of his performances, like, he never plays anymore. He started the other day for the first time in ages. He's made a handful of appearances all season, having made like 25 last season. Ollie doesn't seem particularly keen on him. I think it doesn't surprise me that we are interested in... to me, Trippier makes the most sense because Aarons is like the same age as Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah.
So unless you really want to have two completely different options of a defender, Trippier is a bit more of an attacking fullback. Dead ball, I wouldn't say specialist, but certainly, comfortable in dead ball scenarios, good at corners, good at free kicks, good at whipping the ball in. And when you think of someone like Edinson Cavani, I could imagine Trippier chipping balls onto Cavani's head next season. So he makes a lot more sense. Also, he's roughly 10 years older than Aarons and Wan-Bissaka. I think he's 30 or 31 and they're 21 and 22. He makes a lot more sense. Rotation option, come back to England. I think he's at Atletico, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think Trippier would be perfect.
Could be on the verge of winning the La Liga. Atletico. It's all hotting up there, isn't it? At the top of the table. Getting tasty, mate. Matt Bragger says, as much as the Berry Beckham is in my heart, for that free kick in the World Cup, his age compared to Aaron's is what swings it for me. So I think he's saying Aaron's right over.
See, I've gone the other way.
You've thought,
under the assumption that Wan-Bissaka would be first choice.
Because I don't think Wan-Bissaka is going to get dropped. No. I don't think he's warranted getting dropped, and I don't think Ollie wants to drop him. I think Ollie's looking for an alternative, and also you could argue that if Kieran Trippier comes in, you get a couple of seasons out of him as backup to Wan-Bissaka. Ethan Laird continues to get himself fully fit, get a good run of games. We know he's been doing well. At MK Dons. He becomes the player we all hoped he would be before he started picking up them injuries. Mm-hmm. Then in a few years' time, he comes in and he's the understudy to Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Perfect.
How does that work?
Life is bliss, isn't it?
Life is bliss. But I wouldn't be complaining if either Kieran Trippier or Max Aarons comes in. And knowing Manchester United, I think it's more likely that Kieran Trippier comes in because he's probably going to be cheaper.
You get it for like 10, 15 million. We love a 10, 15 million.
We do. We love a bit of that. And it's
Aarons
like,
is probably
it's a
25,
signing.
30,
it's like, tell us, it's a signing.
Yeah.
Look, we've signed 5 players this window. Yeah. All right, 2 of them are, youngsters, but 3 of them, look. So, yeah, it does make sense. Let us know what you think. Ross Murphy says, I reckon we will get Trippier over Aarons. Yep. The Vutinator says 6 p.m. for the protest. Thumbs up. Yes, Thursday, 6 p.m. You can get down to Old Trafford. Be there. We'll all be there as well. So we'll say hello if you are there. I mean, we do need some options because, like you were saying, whatever's happening with Brandon Williams, Ollie doesn't seem to be fully backing him. Left-hand side, we've got Alex Telles. I mean, Williams can even play on the left. Plus Luke Shaw. I mean, he's not going anywhere, is he?
Left side sorted, isn't it?
Left side sorted. We just maybe need a couple of options on the right-hand side. Yeah. So maybe Kieran Trippier or Max Aarons could be those options. Should we move on to another story?
Absolutely.
Mentioned it earlier, the protests The word protests, as you know, last time United were meant to play Liverpool, we were all down there. Stopped the game from going ahead. Not me personally, but the game didn't go ahead. And there's going to be another protest tomorrow night. Now, we saw it against Leicester. Police, the barriers, if you've been on our socials, you've seen it. We've been down there pretty much every day. They've put all these metal walls or metal fences up. They look, very impressive, but I'm just distracted there. Chelsea, Pulisic with the pass back, basically.
Yeah.
When he was through on goal there, I don't know what happened. Maybe I'm being harsh, but it looked like it was a bit of a mistake. So yeah, there's talk that there is not talk. There is going to be another protest tomorrow. Don't know if it's going to be as big as the last one where we saw thousands, didn't we? Thousands. I know I said that like I was Danny Knight. Thousands. Some very men, innit?
Coming down in their droves.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, boy.
Up the old apples and pears.
Yeah.
On the old dog and bone. Giving it all the north and south.
Mouth.
Yes.
Yeah.
With my china plates, mates.
Having a right Barney. Rubble, trouble. And a bit of a bubble bath laugh. Yeah. Maths. Right. Maths.
Yeah. Do you know who we are? Don Cheadle in Ocean's 11.
Yeah, we are. One of the worst film accents, maybe the worst of all time. We got to go and do the hi. Like, Don, you're American. We know it. Why don't they just get an English person or at least an American that can do a remotely passable Cockney accent?
Or why not just say, let's change the script slightly so he's no longer English.
Yeah.
Because it actually adds nothing to the film.
No, it doesn't.
It's not like, oh, he's English, brilliant. I'm going to watch this now, and I wasn't before.
No. I'm a bit of a tricky gentleman. Like, Don,
it's up there
chill out.
Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins.
Don, you're stressed. The accent is bad.
I remember the first line, oh, don't eat your knickers, boys. And I was like, what's he doing
Excuse me?
What's that? I like Don Cheadle. What's this?
They've gone South African. That's good.
Yeah,
That's nice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Whoa, oh my God, no. What's he doing?
On from the main streets of
London.
London,
matey.
Don, you're struggling.
That's Charlie Umden in Green Street. Have you seen that one?
Yeah, that's a good one.
His accent is bizarre.
Yeah.
Because it's not like Don Cheadle tries a Cockney accent.
Yeah.
He can't do it.
Shit.
It's shit, but he sticks with his attempts.
Yeah, it's a consistent accent throughout.
Yeah.
It's just a bad one.
Yeah. Charlie Humnen tries a Cockney accent for about 8 seconds, gives up, reverts to some sort of South African Australian hybrid, then goes back to a bit of Cockney, via a bit of Welsh, ends up with a tint of Irish.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, before just settling on American.
This sounds lovely. This is the path of the Dutch in the 18th century, I believe. Lovely stuff. You're mapping trade routes throughout sort of Middle Ages there.
East India Company.
Yeah.
I'll have you know. Yeah, it's awful. But yeah, we're protesting outside Old Trafford, so you better be there.
6 o'clock tomorrow.
That's what I was getting at there.
Do you think there's going to be the attempt at, because obviously last time it was the main reason that it was successful, I would say, the main reason that the game was postponed is because things went further than the club wanted. Do you think there will be an emphasis on that again this time, or do you think the pillars and the girders and the fences are going to just put an end to that, and it's just going to be, we're basically going to be contained in a way that the Glazers and the club are happy with?
I think we'll be more contained. A big sort of the unknown factor here is what happens with the coach and the team, because what people sort of forget about the protest at Old Trafford last time, a lot of what caused the issue with the game and everything was the protest at the Lowry as well,
yes,
because the players couldn't get to the ground. So obviously, yeah, the fans at the ground, you know, the protest there, especially when people got on the pitch, that makes it pretty untenable. Mm-hmm. When you've got, you know, people inside the stadium and I don't know whether in the change rooms or whatever, there's rumours that they were. But also you've got another protest stopping the...
Chelsea hit the crossbar twice. Twice in 2 shots.
I actually want Chelsea to get a point here because it makes it harder for the Scousers to get top 4. That's well annoying. So we'll have to wait and see, but one thing's for certain, we'll be down there, we're not going anywhere, we're not going away, and these protests aren't going to stop. We know that Joel Glazer has offered to grace us with his presence on a meeting. He did a statement, then he's saying he's happy to meet with the fans.
Yeah.
That's going to happen before the end of the month, but you know, we're going to have to see more than just promises of a meeting if it's going to stop or slow down these protests, because at the minute everyone's fuming and you're just going to see it carrying on and on and on. You saw it as well. It's taken on a life of its own almost. You saw it with the protest at the training ground. That was, 30 lads went down there. Wasn't like a massive organised thing where it was on socials and everyone's going, oh, you know what's going to go down on, whatever date it was.
I didn't know that was happening, did you?
Mate, my mate sent me a picture of Carrington Road in the morning. I didn't think anything of it. So I was like, I ignored it. Then I saw like all the news like down there. So then I messaged him. He's like, yeah, I'm here. So like, so then he showed me like pictures. And when I looked on like the MEN, he was on there. He's not got a mask on, right? So I was like to him, why have you not got a mask on? He could face everyone. He went, well, I was wearing my work coat. So I was covering up my work emblem, right?
Oh, that's all right then.
So we went down there to film. I did a report from there, chatting to the security guard who's a fan of the channel, who's chatting to us. And I was saying, oh, my mate was down there before, and I said, he didn't cover his face, he was covering his work thing. He went, oh, does he work for such and such a thing? And I went, yeah. He went, oh, his van was here though.
No, I came in the work van. No. But you know what? I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that wasn't like why we didn't know about that before.
No, he just got a message off someone like he's one of them. He goes United on when he got like a message saying, we've got that Carrington, are you up for it? And he's like, hell yeah. And he said he came out of Carrington. He said the police are there. He had to go. He said I had to go back to work. So he said he's coming out, and the police like, what are you doing? And he went, I've just been to the butty van. And because he was in all his work gear, they believed him.
That's fantastic.
Because they didn't think anyone would be daft enough to do it in the work gear. Well, they don't know my mates.
Quick small talk, quick little get out of jail free cards, literally maybe in this case, stuff like that. Yeah. Fantastic. Quick thinking, on your feet, been to the butty van.
Been to the butty van.
You should. Yeah. Oh, you should see them lot in there. Carnage, lads. Driving off. Fantastic.
Cool. Well, that's the point I'm making. You can't control this. No. You can't. We don't know. We know there's one on Thursday at 6 o'clock, but there might be others. They might be pockets of guys or people who think, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. The sponsor thing is another one that's taken on its own life. People just hammering Trustpilot. Wait, what are you smoking at? Oh, go on.
Pockets of guys.
Pockets of guys.
There may be a few pockets of guys.
It's like Mitt Romney with his binders full of women.
Pockets of
There's
guys.
pockets of guys
Reminds me of
scattered around the Manchester area.
Look at him on the pocket.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Sorry. Right,
no,
let's
it's
move
all right.
on,
You're right.
we?
Yeah, let's move on before I say anything else which is ridiculous. Jurgen Klopp.
Yes.
Liverpool manager, former manager of the champions. Well, they're still reigning champions, aren't they, for another 2 weeks?
Are they?
Well, they're still the champions.
Even though because
no,
the season
I saw this on people going, oh, Liverpool have never come to Old Trafford whilst producer Cam there just playing former videos as loud as he possibly can. Yeah, they're still the champions.
Yeah,
it's funny that they won't get to play in front of the crowd. Yeah, do you know it's the only time in my life I've seen Liverpool at Old Trafford as champions where I've been there was like 31 years ago.
I've never had that.
That's what
I mean, they've never been champions in my life.
That's what I mean, and the time that they are. No one's going to be there.
Yeah, because it's almost like that. The fact that you put the little C is next to City's name on the title doesn't mean they are currently champions. No. Liverpool are still champions. Yeah, you become champions at the end of the season when the season is over. Liverpool's still champions. It's like that sort of as it stands tables. Yeah. Where it's like it's a draw, so each team's got 1 point. Well, that's not the table. No. The table is how it was before the game started until the game ends. That's exactly it. It's like when Chelsea came there and they were like, champions of Europe, and you'll never sing that or whatever, and you're not champions anymore. And it's like, well, they are. They're still the champions. Yeah, they are. Technically. Excuse me, everyone. Don't be that guy, but what we're singing is actually factually wrong. If we are being pedantic, and I'm not saying we should be, but someone will be if we're not, technically we aren't actually champions yet just because we've got the most points. So if we can all just stop singing that, why don't we sing something else? I'll start, glory, glory, Man United. I had to actually do something like that on a coach once to Wembley. Really? When I was working in radio at 6 a.m. Oh, no. I had to get on the mic and say, it was when United played City in the semi-final at Wembley. And we had a City guy, a reporter on the City coach, and I was on the United one, and I was like, for radio, I was like, hi everyone. Proper Butlins. Like, yeah, from Q103 Radio, we're doing a thing about, United got that at Wembley, and we just could do some chanting just to get the atmosphere. So I'm just going to start a few songs. And then you think, like, how many songs don't have swearing in? The first one that sprung to mind was UNITD, United are a team for me. Even that's got an F word at the end. Yeah. I was thinking, that seems pretty good. No. Like, third from the last word is an F word. It took me like 5 minutes to think of something like build a bomb fact. No, can't do that. And
There's a tout. No, it can't be. We're not going to do
Red
any
flag
of that.
flying eye.
Yeah,
Go with that one.
That's all right. Yeah, I can't remember what I went with. It's something like that, or it might have been, the United Clips or whatever. But the response was lukewarm.
I mean, I know it's 6 a.m. Was everyone already bladdered?
Not really, because it was like one of those ones from Old Trafford, like the official-ish coaches.
Not
so
one that is like, we'll pick you up in the lay-by.
Yeah,
not
it
that
was
one.
a few. No, there was no like oranges full of vodka. There was none of that.
Okay.
So people got involved, but it was a smattering of singing, shall we say? Anyway, Jurgen Klopp described United's fixtures as a crime. He says he don't blame Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for what he did with resting all his first team for the game against Leicester City because of the fixtures. And he's actually had a dig at the Premier League. He's criticised the Premier League because of what they've done. Chelsea have got... Arsenal, have got away with this one.
Yeah, Arsenal, I think, will have beaten Chelsea 1-0. Criticised the Premier League.
Yeah, he says, he sort of thinks the fixture pile up is just ridiculous. And he doesn't blame Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for shuffling his pack. He said he'd done the same thing, that's pretty accurate, really, isn't it? Because
of course it is.
What is Ole meant to do? You can't just keep playing players.
No.
That's not how
and
it
also,
works.
This is coming from a manager that literally played their under-14s in was it the FA Cup or the League Cup? Like, it wasn't like 2 games in 2 days or 2 games in 48 hours like United have had. He was playing his actual youth team, not second team, youth team, in proper cup matches. Yeah. Literally trying to get knocked out of the cup. So obviously he's going to say that, and he wouldn't have a leg to stand on if he didn't. But yeah, of course he'd say that, and it's the modern game. That's what people have to do. It's not usual that teams have to play Tuesday and Thursday and Sunday. No. So the fact that they've done that and had to do it, which is fair enough, and I agree with the reasons behind it. Although I do think the league could have been slightly better at spacing those games out if they'd have wanted to. Of course, any criticism is just pathetic. And if you're a Liverpool fan, annoyed that United lost to the 3rd team in England, like Leicester are 3rd in the league. It's not like they're shit. It's not like we just tossed the game off and lost to, Luton for a laugh. We've lost to one of the best teams in England who are desperate to win. Come on, you can't be too annoyed at that.
And also, keep your own side of the street clean.
Yeah.
You lost 6 at home on a spin. Like, you can't be pointing fingers at anyone else when you've been absolutely shocking for about 3 months.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm aware, United have never done that in my lifetime.
What, lost 6 at home on a spin? Never. I've never even heard of that.
So it's not as though it's like, we've been shit and they've
even
been
like
shit.
Under Roy Hodgson, they didn't do that.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, even the Liverpool that in my lifetime that haven't been very good, when they were like sort of just about in the top half, never come close to losing 6 at home on the spin.
That's incredible.
That's like, is unreal. I've never even...
if you expect to be able to do that and still finish top 4,
I'm not being funny. Even like, I don't know, Villa don't do that.
Not really.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's very rare for any club.
Even relegation teams can go a full season without losing 6 at home in a row.
Yeah.
Like,
6,
that's
incredibly it's just, bad. It is, even if you lose 6 at home in a season, that's bad. To lose that on the trot is unreal. Yeah. So you can't be pointing fingers. You've done it yourself. You know what the script is. You know that the Premier League have had us over a little bit as well because they could have given us an extra day. They could have moved it around. They've made it as difficult as possible without sort of breaking any laws. And it's obviously wanted to punish Manchester United because of what had gone on. They blamed us, or they might blame the club slightly as well for not preventing the protests. But bring on whatever you want to do. I'm not even bothered. So yeah, Klopp understands that. It's the first sensible thing he's come out with in a fucking long time anyway. So I'm not going to give him too much credit. Christian Romero.
Here we go.
You love this guy, don't you?
Oh, mate. Hey. Has there ever been a greater player than Christian Romero?
Is he your favourite Romero that's not Sergio?
Yeah. Because I was thinking Alfa Romeo, the car, but that hasn't got a second R in it. So yeah.
If you don't know a lot about this guy, he's 23 years old. He's centre-back. He plays for Atalanta on loan from Juve, I believe.
And this is coming from Sky Sports, isn't it?
Yes.
So this is a bit of potential, not quite as reliable as they once were, but a little bit reliable. What are they running with their headline?
Well, what they're saying is they're saying that we're forgetting about Raphael Varane. Forget Raphael Varane.
Who?
Yeah. The one that...
Can't remember anything about that.
My favourite Raphael Varane story or line is the fact that he's won the World Cup, he's won 4 Champions Leagues, he's won 3 La Ligas. Yeah. He's been like in the world or whatever team of the year pretty much every season
Tons
for
of
about
times.
11 years. He was wanted by Fergie when he was 17, wanted by Zidane, wanted by everyone. One of the greatest defenders in the modern era. and Ronaldo Brown, when he did his news, said, Rafael Varane was a player, you know, we looked at him a long time ago, not quite lived up to his expectation.
Right. Cheers, Ronaldo. For God's sake. So we're not going after him now then, is that the case?
No,
Why not?
we've got a little trio on our shortlist.
Right, go on then.
So we've got Christian Romero, Sven Botman. Sven Botman
That
is
sounds like something that burrows into your head on holiday. I'd like to have a Botman removed from my head.
bloody Sven Botmans. I'll tell you what.
It's laid eggs in me.
Yeah, he's at Lille, I believe.
Good luck.
And also Jules Koundé, who you again, he's another one of your faves, isn't he?
He's one of my lot, yeah.
He's a French defender because, God knows, it's about time we could be being linked with a French defender, isn't it? Is it Sevilla?
Sevilla?
Yes. Obviously, we know all about him from last season. Out of those three, Botman, Koundé, and the other one, Romero. Just testing you. You passed.
Proper
well done.
supply teacher shit, that, you know.
Yeah.
Alex, it's Alan. Just checking, yeah. So, Alan then. It is Alex, really. I knew that as well. You were double bluffing me, but I knew you were double bluffing me. Team point for you.
Who would you prefer?
I think Koundé is the most established. He's playing for the best club of the three, which makes me think he's probably had the most pressure on his shoulders, the biggest opportunity to prove himself. Sevilla are, you know, probably maybe pushing top 10 teams in Europe, whereas I don't think any of the others are. Atalanta play good football and they score lots of goals, but when it comes down to it, they're not particularly full of trophies in recent seasons. They don't really push for the league. Sevilla obviously have won, I know he wasn't there for all of them, but Sevilla have won a lot of trophies in recent seasons. They're a big club. So I think just on pedigree front, I would go with Jules Koundé, but I don't mind. Again, I've said this before, centre-backs are a weird thing where you've got to trust your scouts, I think, because I know he cost them a lot of money and I'm sure a lot of people will have heard of, and I'd heard of Ruben Diaz, but I wouldn't have said he's going to come in and be the best defender in England immediately, and I don't know if many people would have said that. It's one of them, it's an interesting position. You've got to see how it gels with the team, see how it gels with what you've already got there, and I would trust the scouts on it, hopefully, if United scouts are good, but any of those three, I think, if they're right, you know, they could be right, because they don't have to be the biggest name to be a top-class centre-back.
I agree with that. They don't. I know what you mean. It's like, we were linked with, I don't know if we were, I'm sure we were linked with Diaz at one point, like briefly, and I wasn't like, oh, we've got to get him, like, you know, he sort of almost, well, he has exceeded expectations.
Yeah, of course
he's just been amazing.
Yeah.
Like, ridiculously good. And I think that you can't sort of, you know, predict that, because I think when he came in, people like, you know, he's a good signing, but it was even a question mark, is it definitely him that's going to start? Is it going to be Laporte? Nathan Ake, where's he in all this? What's happening with John Stones? Diaz has just been outstanding. He's brought out the best in Stones as well, who's a defender that was forgot about.
Yep.
You look at United, Harry Maguire's come in, he's reliable. Vince Lindelof plays most of the games. Eric Bailly, you could argue, is probably our most, you know, most like naturally gifted defender, just made of glass. Yeah. So it's just, with defenders, it's always a difficult one. Me personally, I think if we've not going to have a lot of money to spend in this summer, I think the priority has got to be a CDM. Yeah. I think even more than a centre-back. If we've got the choice of both, then fair enough, but if it's one or the other, if it's a world-class CDM or a world-class centre-back, I'd go with a defensive midfielder, because we need one. And it's like, it's ridiculous that we've managed to get through a whole season without having one. And I don't think we can do that again next season. So, yeah, I'd go with trying to bring in a central defensive midfielder. There's been a few we've been linked with. We'll wait and see what happens with them. Declan Rice seems to be the most popular one on the channel from the comments and stuff like that. There's the other kid as well from Brighton, is it Basuma? A few people saying about him as well. Some saying we might go back to Leicester for bringing someone like an Ndidi or whatever. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But as always, we will keep posted. Let us know in the comments, do you think centre-back should be a priority for Manchester United? If it is, out of those three I've mentioned, Koundé, Romero, and already I've forgotten one of them. Botman, Sven Botman, thank you. Who would you like to see come in? Any other ones? Any different ones? Someone has said RIP Jordan Banks. Yeah, a horrific story this. Poor lad who was 9 years old playing football in Blackpool, I think, struck by lightning. And it's just...
I saw it on the billboard before we were in Euston Station in London. Yeah. I saw it on the massive screen there, and just horrific, isn't it? So sad.
I'm glad someone's put that in the comments, and thoughts with his family, you know, was in the football chat, and my son's team before, and he was sort of talking about it and saying if there's any rain or anything, we'll take him off the pitch, get him in the hut sort of thing. It's just one of those things, and as I said earlier, thoughts of his family and thanks for people that have mentioned that as good people as well. We'll wait and see what happens with defenders. We're building it with a load. We'll keep you posted. One defender who we won't be seeing anymore is your favourite right back.
Matteo Darmian.
Stroke right winger.
Right.
The man who used to dominate the right-hand side of Manchester United Football Club. Your favourite Ecuadorian. Antonio Valencia.
Yeah, he's retired, hasn't he?
Yes.
Retired from
he's
football.
He's only 35. I thought he was older.
Yeah, he's one of them. He's aged, hasn't he? There was a point where he was like, I thought one of the best right backs in the league for a season. I think it was Jose's first season.
Yeah, Jose turned
incredible
him into, because he was a winger.
Yeah.
And then it was like Van Gaal used to play him at right back, and he just wasn't a right back. And you're like, why are you doing this? Jose came in and somehow, just because Jose at that time still had a bit of the Jose defensive factor, probably one of the best defensive coaches of all time on his day.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, got the best out of him. It's like, we've got a right back here. And then sort of, fizzled out a little bit and moved on. But won 6 trophies at United. Played a lot of football for us.
Yeah. That fucking highlight against Liverpool where he's about 40 yards away from it and their player's about 3 and he still beats him there because he was so fast. Yeah, fantastic. Good play for United. Former captain as well.
Yes, did he captain us to the FA Cup in 2016?
Might well have done.
Am I getting that wrong? Let me know if I am.
But yeah, very good player on his day, and the last right back United bought. That's how long it's been since United.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, right winger. That's how long it's been since United bought a right winger. The last one we bought has now retired. You know what I mean? We don't buy one every other season like City do. We don't just buy one every 18 months because we just fancy it. We buy one and we wait for them to retire, and then we buy another one. It's like when you get a new pair. Do you know when you're a kid and you get shoes? Like as an adult, you might have 4 pairs of shoes.
Yeah.
As a kid, you have 1 pair of trainers. Well, this was my growing up anyway. You have 1 pair of trainers that you wear for school, you wear them for kickabouts, you wear them to five-a-side, you wear them to the cinema, you wear them on your bike. And when they run out and the bottoms fall out of them, then you get a new one. That's United's method and an idea behind how we get right wingers. Thoughts?
I agree.
What do you need a right winger for? Antonio Valencia still played. Yes, in Ecuador. So what? We bought you him and he's still alive. So you wait until he's gone. Right, that seems a weird way of doing it. Well, that's how we do it. If you don't like it, get a new mum.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, mum. Right, good. They've got to be under 18 quid as well. You wear through them every 2 months. Right. Jonathan James it is then, mum. Thank you.
That's exactly why I make all my kids walk around barefoot.
Good lad.
Aye, the way nature intended. He played 339 games for us.
That's a lot, isn't it?
It's decent, isn't it? 6 trophies, 339 games.
Roughly a trophy every 50, 57 games.
He's sort of in the good bracket, isn't he?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
What a bracket to be in, by the way.
Yeah, he's like...
None of this, not club legends bracket.
No, let's
you're
not get
You're
silly.
not George Best.
No.
You're not, Steve Coppell.
No.
Then there's the great bracket.
Yeah.
Where you think, who goes in that? Probably someone like...
Go on.
That's a good question, actually.
Yes.
Maybe someone like you Gary Pallisters.
I was thinking Gary Pallister.
You Gary Pallisters.
Ronnie Johnson.
You Ronnie Johnsons. Your Berbatovs.
Yes. Yeah.
And then there's the bracket below that, where we're talking...
Your Paul Parkers.
Your Paul Parkers. Your John O'Shea's. Your Antonio Valencias.
Yeah.
Your Raymond van der Gauws.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, he's not in that. But yeah, he's in a very good bracket, United.
Yeah,
Think
well
of him fondly.
respected.
Not really a club legend, but he's a great player.
It's not his fault that we sold Ronaldo and bought him, Obertan and Michael Owen.
Well, you say
and
that,
out of those
Jay.
3...
Let me stop you there. Sorry to stop you there. It is his fault.
Why?
Because you could have rejected the move.
Then we would have sold Ronaldo and just bought Gabriel Obertan and Michael Owen.
And
this was the peak. This is peak Glazonomics in full effect.
I'm not saying that would have made United better as a team, but I'm saying it would have absolved Antonio Valencia of any blame.
Do you know what? It would have been better as well. Because that photo, he spoils it a little bit.
Because he's actually quite good.
Yeah. And it's like, you couldn't go, we can't believe we let Tevez go, sold Ronaldo and brought in this.
Yeah.
And you go, actually, Antonio Valencia played 339 games, he's won 6 trophies and captained United.
Got player of the year.
Yeah. All right, just forget about him.
Blur him out.
The other 2, shit, mate.
Fair.
Yeah, so Antonio Valencia, We'll look forward to seeing you on MUTV very soon, probably. Well, I don't know. Does he even speak English? I don't think he does, you know.
I think he does. I think he chooses not to.
I like that.
He
It's
lives
like
in
me with Spanish.
What? You don't speak Spanish.
I just choose not to.
Go on then.
I just told you I choose not. Por favor.
Por favor. Thank you. I think I rest my case there. Not por favor. Por favor.
Dankeschön.
Por favor is a type of dolphin, by the way, I believe.
Hang on, I'm trying desperately.
What are you Googling?
I'm trying to Google
How to
Spanish
speak
saying-
Spanish in under 5 seconds.
Oh, no.
How to learn the entirety of a language on a live video is what I just Googled.
And I can't-
Rosetta Stone, but instantly. Go on then.
Nouveau lait.
What's that?
New king, new law.
Why is that what you said? What's that going to do with it?
It's the first thing that came
Something
up.
to do with Dennis Law?
Yeah, you were talking about legends. So,
Arguably United's greatest ever forward.
Mas vale Mane que Furza. That's what I always think.
What is that in reference to? They seem to be quite disjointed. It's almost as if you're seeing a sentence and you're having to say that sentence because you don't have any other options. It doesn't seem to be related to what I've said at all. But I'm going to ask you a question. And you
Right,
answer.
all right, go on.
You're not allowed to touch your laptop.
Right, okay.
What I'm going to ask you a question is, what did you have for dinner last night?
Ma si consigue lamiendo que mordiendo.
And what does that mean in English?
More is achieved by licking than biting.
It worked! It worked! That means you had soup! Fantastic! You got bailed out so fucking hard then. More is achieved by licking than biting. That's also my motto in the bedroom, if I'm honest. Fantastic.
Anyone who's anyone Spanish speaking now is ridiculing that because the way I pronounce that just didn't make any sense.
Jesus Christ.
Apologies. Santanot says JD no less Spanish than Moyes, obviously. Apologies to our Spanish viewers for absolutely.
More is achieved by licking than biting.
It's I googled
that is
Spanish sayings,
sexual.
and this Don Quixote came up, and that's like the 4th one on the list.
Don Quixote.
Why is that like a saying that you're going to need?
Don Quixote.
Like here's I'm going to give you 5 sayings, and that's one of them because you're destined to need that in your Spanish adventures. So thanks for that. Should we wrap it up there then? I think we've covered everything we need to cover. We've covered accents,
You've
we've covered
embarrassed
Spanish
yourself.
language.
You've offended every Spanish speaker that we've got watching the channel. You've embarrassed me. And more than anything else, you've embarrassed God.
Favour con. As my grandma used to say, favour con, favour se pega.
Which means, and please can we get an egg fried rice with that?
It means you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Really? Very itchy back, your grandma, wasn't it? What she really needed was hydrocortisone cream, but instead she used to get the grandkids in, scratch Nanny's back. Whoever can get the most skin tags off wins. That was the game, wasn't
Someone's
it?
pointing out the fact you're in a Spain song.
Yes, and I can't speak a lick of Spanish, but I'm not pretending that I can.
Why is a lick of Spanish? Why are you turning into a 1940s Cockney?
I can't speak a lick of it.
Spanish,
Right, we need to wrap this up before things get too far. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you click the subscribe button, click the notification button as well. We'll be live tomorrow night for the Liverpool watch-along. Assuming the game goes ahead, we'll bring you coverage of the protests on the watch-along as well. So if you can't get down there, check out the channel and we will be bringing you every single bit from start to finish. You're going to be down there. We're all going to be down there. We'll be covering all of that. Thank you very much, Jay. Thank you for showing off your wonderful Spanish.
Buenos dias, mon amigo.
For fuck's sake. Right, again, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you in a bit.